InvestorIdeas.com podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com podcast. In today's podcast, looking at a few public company announcements from the VLNS Company Incorporated, trading on the TSX as VLNS and the OTCQX as VLNCF. Charlotte's Webb Holdings Incorporated, trading on the TSX as CWEB and the OTCQX as CWBHF. Also looking at Pure Extracts Technologies Corporation, trading on the CSE as PUL and the OTC as PRXTF. Medical Marijuana Incorporated, trading on the OTC as MJNA, as well as Isracan Biosciences Incorporated, trading on the CSE as IPOT and the OTC as ISCNF. So first today, starting with the VLNS Company, who announced it's entered into an extraction and custom manufacturing agreement with Rubicon Organics, which is a Canadian licensed producer of high-quality organic certified sustainably grown cannabis. So Rubicon Organics boasts a robust portfolio of recreational brands, such as Simply Bare Organic, their flower-based 1964 Supply Co., in addition to concentrate-focused Lab Theory. Now, under the terms of the agreement, VLNS will have the opportunity to leverage its full complement of proprietary extraction capabilities, including organic certified CO2 ethanol and other extraction technologies. Now, to deliver customized consumer experiences in a variety of 2.0 products under the Rubicon Organics portfolio. Additionally, the custom manufacturing agreements provide a platform for collaboration, new product development, and innovation. Now, the Rubicon Organics team has a strong and proven track record of success with their flower business, and we're confident that they will enjoy the same success in their product category, said Tyler Robson, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder and the chair of the VLNS Company. Now, at the heart of this agreement is a true partnership, and both parties are eager to get down to work on innovation to bolster Rubicon Organics' product portfolio and bringing certified organic high-quality 2.0 products to the Canadian market. Now, we're especially pleased to be working with a supply partner that can meet our strict requirements for laboratory controls, quality, and reliability. So, definitely a good step up for Rubicon Organics to get their products out there quicker. VLNS has done a really good job in sort of being the Cannabis 2.0 product provider for a lot of these companies. Again, when I've talked about the organic market within the Canadian market and sort of global industry so far, there is now becoming more and more of a demand for actual organic certified products. Again, sort of the main competitor for this, for the majority of the legalized market, has been the Green Organic Dutchman, but now you're starting to see more companies enter into this same space. And I do think that this sort of partnership is the easier method to go when you have a company like Rubicon Organics and VLNS. Obviously, again, I've mentioned many times how VLNS continues to sort of dominate this spectrum of the cannabis market when it comes to turning your dry herb or your bud into second-generation products. A lot of white labeling opportunities, and I do think that they're going to continue to sort of dominate that sector as they continue to expand and they continue to have successful partnerships. And for Rubicon Organics, getting those 2.0 products out quickly and efficiently and having a consistency and sort of standardization of their products, it's going to be a big benefit working with VLNS, and hopefully we start to see more competition within the organic sector of the cannabis markets in Canada. And it'll be interesting to see how that does affect the overall success of some companies like the Green Organic Dutchman and Rubicon Organics and how that competition sort of pans out. Next, looking at Charlotte Webb Holdings, who announced that it's entered into an option purchase agreement with Stanley Brothers USA Holdings, a privately held Delaware company, and the shareholders of Stanley Brothers USA. It's a cannabis wellness incubator currently operating in 3 states, Colorado, California, and Florida, with expansion plans underway in 8 additional states. Now, the option has a 5-year term, extendable for an additional 2 years, and provides Charlotte's Webb with the optionality to acquire Stanley Brothers USA on the earlier of 3 years from the effective date of the option and federal legalization of cannabis in the U.S. or such earlier time as Stanley Brothers USA and Charlotte's Webb may agree. Consumer attitudes, market trends, and laws surrounding cannabis and its role within the wellness category continue to trend positively. Now, this strategic option provides Charlotte's Webb optionality to enter the U.S. cannabis wellness market in partnership with an experienced and trusted team of brain, positioned, and business for potential new growth opportunities and shareholder value creation, explained Deanie Elsner, CEO of Charlotte's Webb. Now, the Stanley brothers are innovating cannabis wellness with the same philosophy and vision that drove their success as founders of the Charlotte's Webb brand, and with this shared heritage, we could not be more aligned. Now, Stanley Brothers USA is an evolving botanical formulations for the Cannabis 2.0 wellness-focused consumer, combining full-spectrum cannabis extracts with functionally botanical ingredients. And it's marketed under the Recreate brand, which has lower formulations of THC and more precisely controllable benefits. And products include functional chocolates, gummies, oils, tinctures, etc. Now, Charlotte's Web is the global leader in the cultivation, production, and distribution of hemp-derived CBD wellness products, and until the option is exercised, both Charlotte's Web and Stanley Brothers will continue to operate as standalone entities in the U.S. Again, continuing the trend we're seeing and going to continue to see probably all through this year and going into the next until some sort of legalization changes happen in the U.S., but another company planning on expanding their U.S. operations. Charlotte's Web, obviously a pretty well-known name within the U.S. CBD and hemp space. Now, obviously, also focusing on THC wellness products once that becomes a little bit easier to deal with. And again, a trend that I would expect to continue to see over the next year or so. And again, it's going to either follow acquisitions or some of these optional agreements, or partnerships in some sort of form, but you're going to see a lot of consolidation of this industry as more of these companies anticipate huge changes within the U.S. market. And really, once there is more accessibility within the U.S. market, whether that's through the SAFE or MORE or STATES Act, or again through possible descheduling or rescheduling of cannabis, I do expect that you're going to start to see a few other countries follow quickly afterwards. Again, a lot of expectations surrounding Mexico right now. There's a lot of talk of recreational options showing up in the EU and other parts of the world. So I do think that this globalization of the industry will follow quite shortly after the U.S. market starts opening up, and also once those companies have a much stronger access to capital markets. Next, looking at Pure Extract Technologies, who announced that its wholly owned subsidiary, Pure Extracts Manufacturing Corporation, has ordered in excess of 30,000 vape cartridges and vape pens for the Canadian market. Now, these vape products are produced by a global manufacturer and adhere to the highest North American standards and are expected to arrive at the company's BC facility in the first week of April. Now, these products were specifically chosen for the quality of their component parts, their fit and finish, and their performance characteristics when paired with Pure Extracts oil concentrates. Demand for these types of concentrates is pretty strong in the 4 provinces, so BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario, that the company is targeting for its retail launch, and revenue estimates for this shipment are approximately $650,000. Now, Pure Extract CEO Ben Nikolevsky remarked, "We are looking forward to building our vape pen inventory in preparation for our retail launch through established provincial distribution channels. At the same time, we plan to launch our Pure Chews brand of CBD and THC edible gummy products, and we've been steadily accumulating all of the components for the oil extracts to the flavoring to our proprietary packages." So Pure Extracts obviously gearing up for the launch of a lot of products. Again, they have 30 plus proprietary full spectrum oil formulations. You are still seeing pretty heavy demand for oil distillate, the 510 thread cartridges. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. That being said, you are starting to see that the live resin, the butane hash, really solvent-based extracts, as well as much more so solventless extracts, are starting to take up a bigger percentage of the overall sales. And I do think that in the long term, the 510 thread cartridges, I guess they'll always have a sort of place within the cannabis industry, but I do think that they're going to slowly get dominated out by especially the products that are focusing on solventless extracts. And it'll be interesting to see how their launch goes. Obviously, I think the edibles will do really well. Edibles in general, you're doing really good, especially focusing on the CBD market in Canada is a smart play. And again, all those provinces, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, are having pretty aggressive sales pretty much month after month. So I would expect them to have some pretty fast revenue once they launch those products. Looking next at Medical Marijuana Incorporated, who announced that the Japanese division of its subsidiary Cannaway has had the best sales month ever in company history in February of this year. When we first entered the Japanese market in late 2019, we were one of the first companies offering CBD products to the country and saw a great opportunity to give consumers the high-quality products that they've been asking for, said Cannaway's CEO Blake Schroeder. Since then, our team has done tremendous work expanding our reach and footprint in Japan. Now, the Japanese CBD market looks to continue rapidly expanding in the coming years, and according to Research and Markets, The global CBD oil market is expected to reach $5.3 billion by 2025, with Asia Pacific as one of the fastest growing regions. Now, while leading our team in Japan, I've seen the positive response of our offerings in the country firsthand, and our team has shown what can be done with the hard work and distinguishing product offering, and I look forward to our further growth, said Cannaway Japan Division General Manager Pete Dale. As I was talking about globalization of this cannabis industry, again, you're now starting to see this within Southeast Asia, where at least CBD products are beginning to pick up sales, beginning to pick up traction, and beginning to lose any of the stigma associated with THC cannabis in them. Again, I do think CBD is kind of the entry point for most cannabis regulations, or for medical programs, or for just even removing the social stigmas surrounding cannabis. Then you start to see the THC medical products follow shortly after, and then eventually the recreational. Again, a lot of people can speculate that Southeast Asia is going to be a slow turnaround, but I do think that it is going to be very much a domino effect of once you start to see a few other countries adopt a legalization platform that is maybe not similar to Canada, but at least along the same lines and allows for import and export and easy access for these companies to start up within those countries. You're going to start to see, for instance, Korea, Japan, and potentially even in Taiwan and China, as they are still one of the biggest hemp producers in the world, that could start be entering into this industry. There is a lot of Chinese-owned cannabis or cannabis-based companies. So I do think that turnaround is maybe a little faster, is going to be a little faster than some people anticipate, but you never know with how slow regulations may change. Lastly today, looking at Isracan Biosciences, who announced that it's entered into a non-binding letter of intent outlining an important sales agreement with a major Israeli medical cannabis company. Now, the proposed relationship is with one of the leading cannabis product manufacturers in Israel, who, for commercial reasons, cannot be identified at this time. The imported goods will consist of premium Canadian cannabis via Isracan's agreement with Costacana Group's cultivation subsidiary, United Greeneries Limited, and the arrangement includes a provision that all imported material will be sold on the Isracan brand, with subsequent products locally manufactured by the proposed partner in accordance with the Israeli GMP requirements. Now, Isracan's Canadian Import-Export Agreement provides exclusive access to established specialty strains, including ultra-high THC, high CBD, balanced, and specialty craft-grown strains, which will eventually serve as alternative product offerings concurrent to introduction of its own premium Israeli-grown and branded products. Now, the important sales through the Isracan include immediate revenue generation, the introduction of new brands to the Israeli market, and the ability to trial Isracan's processing facility and domestic distribution arrangements. The Israeli market for medical cannabis continues to grow at a rapid pace, now with over 80,000 medical patients, and the domestic growers are struggling to keep up with demand. Now, recent news regarding recreational legalization efforts position the local industry to grow at an indicated 2.5 million potential consumers. Now, company's CEO Daryl Jones stated, "The agreement in place is straightforward and is a win-win for both parties. The inexorable growth in demand for medical cannabis products, combined with the potential recreational and export market scenarios, means that the serious operators are making decisions right now as to how they will manage demand stresses in the future. We've been speaking with several of the largest players in the sectors, and today's announcement is likely to be joined with some additionally positive commercial decisions in the coming months, all of which means that we appear to be in the right place at the right time. Our team in Israel are well connected in ensuring that we are aware of the numerous opportunities and prevailing trends that allow us to act proactively. And strategically, we remain focused on securing agreements and opportunities in order to firmly position Isracan where we can best grow our value proposition and capitalize on the unfolding events in this exciting region." Again, I've talked a lot about the Israeli cannabis market and how it is poised for some pretty aggressive expansion. Also how, again, once a lot of those producers have their facilities fully operational, they have the import-export licenses they need, and once you start to see that market open up more, I do think that similarly to parts of South America, they are going to play a large role in the global pricing as well as the global production of certain strains and brands, as they do have their year-round growing conditions. That being said, as again, regulations are still quite strict and restrictive within the Israeli cannabis market, there is going to be stressors on demand. Obviously, these companies are planning for that. Gives lots of opportunity for a lot of large-scale Canadian producers, as well as maybe some even U.S. producers as well. But I do think it's mostly going to be, you're going to see a lot of Canadian-based LPs start looking at the Israeli market, similarly to how they've looked at the EU market, and also for a lot of them to partner with a company like Isracan, This gives them a sort of access point that allows for them to move into the EU markets when they want, but also gives them access to a robust medical market that's already in place, as well as an upcoming recreational market, so that way they're not being sort of slowed down waiting for certain EU marketplaces to open up faster. That's all for today's podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.